What is up, everyone, and welcome back to another video. So as you guys know, Fortnite Chapter 5 Season 3 Wrecked has finally come out, and as with any new season, everybody's scrambling to improve fast, rank up fast, and basically just become a better player. And that's exactly what we're going to solve in today's video, because in today's video I'm going to be showing you guys exactly how to get super good in Fortnite Chapter 5 Season 3 super fast, how to improve fast, how to get better mechanics, better building, better aim, better editing. All that stuff's going to be covered. Before we get into it, be sure to drop a like on the video if it helps you out, subscribe to the channel if you're new and you want to see more content just like this in the future. And lastly, guys, if you want to show some extra support, it's always super appreciated if you could use code Teckoh in the item shop. It's 100% free for you, and it seriously does help me out a ton. It only takes like 5 seconds to type in, and it seriously does make a major difference. So as always, a giant thank you to everyone who uses it. But with that said, guys, we've got a lot to cover, so let's get straight into it. Starting off this video, I want to begin by talking all about the loot pool and how to get good with this current loot pool. Chapter 5 Season 3 comes with a big variety of new items. Most of the core items like your ARs, your shotguns, your SMGs, and your snipers, your just regular weapons pretty much have remained pretty standard. But we've got new mythics and consumables that are absolutely crazy, so I do want to talk about those for a minute. Starting off, we've got some super powerful mythics this season. The first one that comes to mind is the Nitro Fist, and it's absolutely ridiculous for mobility. It deals a ton of damage, and it breaks through builds like they aren't even there. That thing is super overpowered. I'm imagining it's probably going to get nerfed at some point, but for now, definitely give it a shot. There's also a new mythic combat shotgun, which can actually tear some people up, and it pretty much removes your need for carrying the full AR SMG shotgun loadout since it shoots quickly. Instead, you can just carry an AR and shotgun or an SMG and shotgun. Since the combat shoots so fast and it has pretty good range to it, you really don't have to worry about having both of the other weapons. You've also got a new vehicle, which is Megalodon's Behemoth, I think it's called. This is like a sort of Humvee type vehicle with a grenade launcher on top for some reason. It smashes through builds, shoots grenades, has unlimited fuel, and you can repair it at repair boxes all around the map to keep it going. Not only those, but we have tons of other cars and numerous other mythics like the Combat AR mythic, the Frenzy Auto Shotgun mythic, the Gatekeeper shotgun, and the Boom Bolt. Most of these mythics are going to be found at the newer POIs on the map by defeating bosses. Some are going to be at the old ones. And of course, you're still going to have the added benefit of those bosses for the medallions they drop as well. Medallions, really not many changes. They're different medallions, but they pretty much do the same thing. Early in the season, I definitely recommend you take some time to land at the newer areas, get some fighting practice in, and try out these new mythic items and vehicles and whatnot. Even if you decide later on that you'd prefer a more low-key drop spot and possibly even rotate later in the game to kill the players that do have these items, at least for now, it's good to get that practice in and learn your way around the new stuff. A lot of people tend to fall behind in terms of learning the loot pool because they stick to what they're comfortable with, so don't fall into that mistake. It's going to make you so much better if you get stuck with an item you don't like that you're at least used to it. So whether you like them or not, definitely give them a shot. One other feature I want to talk about, which kind of fits under the loot pool umbrella, is the reintroduction of vehicle modifications, where you can attach items like a minigun or grenade launcher to your vehicle. You can attach front bumpers like a cow catcher or spike bumper, and you've got various tires, other power-ups, and overall, with a heavy emphasis on cars this season, it's definitely a good idea to play around with these new changes and see which of these items fit your playstyle. Getting into our second tip, and this one's going to be all about learning the new map. As you probably know by now, we've seen a pretty major shift in the Fortnite map this season with a whole new desert biome being added, and it has POIs like Brutal Beachhead, Redline Rig, the Nitro Dome, and Sandy Steps. All of these locations have pretty darn good loot, and most of them are going to have a mythic or a boss for even more stuff, and overall, they're just fantastic areas to land at or rotate into if you're not overly contested. The problem with that is that they're definitely going to be highly contested in ranked mode and in tournaments, but at least during the early parts of the season, even if it's just in regular matches, I definitely recommend you spend a good amount of time in these areas and at these locations. If it's for nothing else, at least it's just to learn your way around and kind of know what you're doing when you're there. A lot of people get so caught up in avoiding being super contested that they end up not even learning the newer locations. So that's one of the big things that can easily be a skill gap early in the season and even later in the season. I'm telling you guys, you might even see people at the end of this season that have played like 500 games and still haven't landed at certain locations, still don't know their way around there. It's actually pretty crazy. So just make sure you're getting ahead on learning the map and you should be good. Getting into this third tip for this video, and this one is so important but something that a lot of people still miss out on for some reason. One of the bigger keys to improving at Fortnite in any season, but especially nowadays since the competition is so solid, is to grind out ranked mode. I have been recommending this since the earliest days that Arena came out, back in like Chapter 1 Season 8, I'm pretty sure, and it still rings true to this day. Don't get me wrong, I'm a big fan of using things like creative fighting and mechanics maps for practice, or even just regular games to have some fun, but when it comes to improving at the game, solely just getting better, you've got to put yourself up against those good players that are going to challenge you and force you to adapt. Ideally, players that are even better than you that you die against most of the time so you can learn from your mistakes. So with all that in mind, I strongly recommend that you spend the bulk of your time playing ranked mode, especially if you don't typically do that. Now, when it comes to which game mode to play within ranked mode, there's really not a particular one that you need to focus on. I do recommend you play at least some solo so you can be a strong standalone player, but regardless of of which mode you focus on, playing a lot of ranked is going to help you a lot. And once again, guys, the thing I said about solos is simply that I recommend you do at least some. The reason I say that is because so many players are good in team modes and they know how to play as an IGL or support or something like that. But in the end, Fortnite is fundamentally a solo game. You are playing for yourself. When you die, you're the one that dies. So I do recommend that everybody at least mixes in a little bit of solos, even if you play like 90% team modes and 10% solos. It is really important to keep up on solos at least a little bit. So that's all I'm saying with that. But overall, guys, getting a lot of ranked games in is going to be a super major help. So definitely make sure you're doing that. Getting into our next section of this video, and the next thing I want to talk about is another key aspect to improving, which is going to be creative practice. I am going to strongly recommend you play a decent amount of creative as well as playing ranked. That way you can expose yourself to high amounts of fights in a short time and dial in on specific skills you need to work on. I recommend you spend the bulk of your time, probably more or less 70% of it, on playing regular games like ranked, but adding that extra 30% of creative practice can help you sharpen a lot of skills that are going to carry over heavily. So in this section, I have 4 maps that I'm going to want to introduce you guys to. I'm sure you may have seen a couple of these, but these are pretty much the 4 maps that I typically play and I recommend people play most of the time. These are kind of just fundamental maps that are going to help you a lot. The first 2 are going to be fighting maps, so maps where you're able to just get in and practice fighting against good players. And then I'm going to have 1 mechanics map where you can practice like piece control and things of that nature. And then lastly, 1 aim map where you can practice your aim. So getting into our first map for this video, and this one is going to be Speed Realistic 1v1s by Ken Beans. This map is pretty much a simulation of a one-on-one fight where you're put up against your opponent in close range super quickly, and it's one person pushing the other person who's in a box, and you're forced to either build fight or box fight this person as if one person is getting pushed in real game. You can use this map with a friend if you have a friend you want to play against or someone you know is good, or you can just hop into matchmaking, pretty much either way. Typically, I'll just play against somebody I know is good, but if you don't have people on your friends list, if you don't have any friends, then I'm sorry about that, but you can always use matchmaking. But in all seriousness, guys, this is one of the best maps for fighting practice, no doubt, so I'm going to go ahead and put the code on screen right now. Getting into our second map in terms of fighting maps, I'm going to recommend this for anybody who wants to emphasize short-range fighting, particularly box fights, whether it's a matter of being able to hit your shots, going for optimal edits, positioning yourself in fights, or anything else. When it comes to close range, I recommend the Martaz Turtle Wars map. This map pretty much has everything. It has updated loot, it puts you in close range with a lot of players. If you queue into matchmaking, you can also get a lobby with, I believe it's either 16 or 32 people, don't quote me. It's one of those two, and you can just grind out box fights one after the other. You can probably get up to 200 fights in an hour if you're playing it consistently. So it's a really good way to get a lot of fighting practice in very quickly, improve your peaks, improve your shots, improve a whole lot of stuff. So I'll go ahead and put the code up on screen right now. Finally, guys, finishing off today's video, I have 2 more maps which are going to be for mechanics and aim. So the first one is going to be for your building and editing practice, and the other one is going to be for improving your aim. First up, we've got our building and editing map, which is Raiders Mechanics Map V4. The reason I recommend this particular map is because if it comes to building or editing, this map pretty much has everything you could need to improve fast. It's got piece control sections, it's got peak practice for box fights, it's got free builds, edit training, and even something called clutch practice where you practice fighting under pressure from multiple angles, such as if you're doing like a 1v2, a 1v3, or a 1v4, it's going to help you with that. And it does have an aim section, but we do have an aim map coming right after. But if you want to do all your training in one map, then you can use it for that too. Overall though, the map is absolutely fantastic for improvement, so definitely give it a shot. Code's going to be up on screen right now. And lastly, guys, the final map I want to go over is going to be Raiders aim training map. This map has around 20 fantastic aim training scenarios for all ranges. It's got close range, mid range, long range. It's got ARs, SMGs, shotguns, even snipers. It also has various distances, angles, scenarios, and pretty much everything you could need to grind out a good aim training session. Honestly, if you hop in here and you choose a certain type of training you want to do, that's fine. Or you can pretty much just pick out 3 or 4 random scenarios, run them for like 5 minutes each, and over time your aim's going to improve a ton. So with that said, I'll go ahead and put up the code on screen for you guys. And lastly, guys, the final thing I want to do before we finish off this video, I want to go ahead and put all the codes up on screen just in case you guys want to write them down, take a screenshot, or anything like that. The top one's going to be Speed Realistic 1v1s by Ken Beans. Below that is going to be the Martaz Turtle Wars map. Then you've got Mechanics Practice by Raider, and you've got the Aim Trainer by Raider all the way on the bottom. Overall, guys, if you can grind out these maps consistently, you're going to see so much improvement in your overall gameplay, so I definitely recommend you use them consistently. Implement them into your practice routine and you won't regret it. But with all that said, guys, that's going to wrap it up for today's video on how to get super good at Fortnite in Chapter 5 Season 3. Overall, we've covered a lot in this video, but it is a pretty complicated season, so hopefully it helped you out. If you found this video helpful, then be sure to drop a like on it, subscribe to the channel if you're new and you want to see more, and as always, it's super appreciated if you could use code Teckoh in the item shop, especially if you're buying anything in the battle pass or any new items or anything like that. It seriously does help me out more than you think. And finally, guys, let me know down in the comments what videos you guys want to see next on the channel. I'm trying to get a lot more consistent with my videos this season. I know last season I wasn't doing very good, but I want to make it up to you guys, so let me know down in the comments what videos you guys want to see and I'll make them happen. But with all that said, guys, thank you thank you all for watching this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye for now.